and welcome to Quick Looks with the Casual Hour. My name is Bobby. Joining me for this tiny quick look, the gamer in the Go Chase Kinnicky. Honey, I shrunk the quick look.
You're grounded for that joke.
Thank you. I've earned it. I hope you're ready for this. I don't know if I'm ready to show you this, but we're gonna do that.
I have seen Grounded before. Like this is not. On one hand, this is not a new video game. This game's been out for years.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, this full game has not been out for days.
Yeah, this has barely been out. So welcome to Grounded. It's fantastic. This is that. What do you know about it? Like, before we even get in here, like I'm like just ready to show it to you. Like, I've been playing this throughout early access. I know it's been out for some time there. Like, what do you know about this, Chase?
Grounded is on PC and Xbox consoles, basically anything Microsoft, because now Microsoft owns this game. I guess maybe they always did. I don't remember if they always did, or now that they bought Obsidian, that now they just own it outright, obviously. But it is developed by Obsidian Entertainment, who best known for making your video games better than you can. Star Wars Knights of the Republic 2, and Fallout New Vegas, and the South Park RPGs, Pillars of Eternity, Alpha Protocol. Alpha Protocol's a cool game. It's kind of busted, but it's a cool game. And then more recently, they've made The Outer Worlds. Not Wilds, The Outer Worlds. And then they'll also be making The Outer Worlds 2. So pretty prolific developer. I think they've done some really great stuff in the past, and it seems like they're continuing to do some pretty cool stuff in the present with Grounded here.
Yeah, man. First off, I'm going to call out that this game is just fantastic. Second of all, I'm going to call out that I've put a lot of time into crafting and building in this game. And third of all,
Sorry, you said the two words I didn't want to hear.
Building and crafting?
Yep, you got them.
I will just say, for anybody watching, I do not have it turned off myself, but this game does, you are shrunk, you're very tiny, and you are fighting a lot of insects, and one of those insect types is spiders. I do not have it turned off, but you can create an arachnophobia mode where the spiders are only changed in their physical appearance. The threat of their impact on you is still there, but they do not look as scary because they are very big. There's a lot of different types of them in this game. So if you are watching this and you haven't,
they just turn into like big blobs.
Yeah, there's like big jelly blobs.
Okay.
So what we're doing right now, Chase, is basically, if you started this game in early access, they're making everybody start the game over at 1.0, but any of the progress you had built or like earned is staying with you. So you can get through that first part pretty easily. And I haven't progressed the main story super far. I just was like building and having a blast doing that. And Johnny and I played this in front of the show, Jason, and I started by building us like this big base down here. And you are going to be, chopping big grass stalks down like this that turn into things that you can carry and build with. You have an extensive build menu that you can come into for melee weapons, to armor, to health items, all the way up to these different types of like building materials that you can use for structures. You can also build more fun things like a garden patch, a jerky rack, roasting spit, all that stuff.
Jerky rack is always very fun.
So I built this massive base for us to have, just to try and protect ourselves from the world. As you can see, it's starting to get dark. Things at night want to kill you even more than things in the day. So we had a spot that we could continue to work, which was my plan. We got all this down here, and I was like, this is cool, but I think I could do a better job. Oh, I need to drink something really quick. Let me drop this stuff, and I know. There we go. Drink up. Okay. So you do need to eat and you need to drink in this game to stay healthy. And we just did that so we can move on. But I was like, you know what, Chase, like maybe what if I found a spot that kind of had everything that we needed around it? So I've got dry grass out there. I've got healthy grass here. Seems to be a lot of dew that accumulates that allows me to get the water that I need to stay healthy. What if I built this? But the problem was we were getting attacked at night when we were sleeping. Things were still pretty close by that weren't good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what if I built this up in the sky? And I found this
God.
log. So this tree was already producing sap, which was great. So I decided to build a fortress up off these branches. And I've built all this to come up to our little area where we're safe. Like up here, things are great, man.
What about like winged insects? Like no flies or wasps or anything want to bother you up here?
At the time of the game when I was playing it, they weren't a threat. But since the game is at 1.0, there are things that will be flying around. You can't see them right now, but bees have been introduced into the game. And I've had a few bees in the area, and that's been an adventure. But I built everybody their own little house. Like we've got like a community workstation here. So we've got a grinder, we got a workbench.
So wait, what's the story here? How did you get shrunk down?
Nobody knows. Somebody knows. That's the beauty of the game. You need to go and find out what's going on, and that's where Obsidian shines. So if you've played some of those games that you've mentioned, I think Obsidian does a fantastic job at writing it. And as a solo player, like you could play this game by yourself the entire way through and have a great time. You're not going to hear like a lot of chatter from your character. A few things like, oh, like this water's safe to drink, or hey, that's a big spider. But you're going to find tapes, and there's going to be these science centers, and you're going to meet some of these characters that had been working on something that was shrinking, but not quite sure on how to increase it. And that scientist is missing, and you need to figure out what the hell's going on. And in a nutshell, or in this case, an acorn shell, that is how the story is unfolding so far. And you're in this backyard of this big ass house here. So as far as the eye can see, Simba, you can do all these things in this back area. And
is everyone shrunk, or is there? Do you ever see any full-size humans?
No, I have not seen a full-size human that's playing it, but the environment is still full-size to a degree. So, like, you could see that that's a full-size shrink ray over there, and that's where you start the game out. And the first thing is like, oh, you turn these things on. There's a shortage, and like there was a big explosion into that tree. And let me rest here in a little bit, and when it's daytime, I'll take you to that so you can kind of see what the science lab looks like, and you can see what the environment looks like as well. And that's where you're going to get the first bit of story. And that's as far as I'm going to show everybody on this quick look, because there's a lot of things that I already have in my room right now, which is welcome to my house, that you're going to see that might kind of show how the game progresses and what you can build. So when you're out here and you're killing things, you're harvesting their innards, you're finding ways to bring it back here and craft new weapons, gears, and all that stuff that gives you different tiers, levels of weapons to do things. The other thing is that there's melee, ranged, and even magic in this game. I have not uncovered the magic yet, but there's some really cool things that they've built into it that did not exist when I first played this in early access that are there now. So if you're playing with a crew of people, you could have a caster, you could have somebody who's doing more range, and somebody who's just in there kind of tanking some of the damage. And as you go into your character, go ahead.
What is this you're holding? Like, I know it's kind of like an axe, but just like what is it actually made out of?
Yeah, so what that is it's called an insect axe. It's a level 2 weapon, and you're gonna find certain things in the game like, hey, you can't break this unless you have a level 2 version of what you have before. Okay. It's an axe made of sharp and strong bug parts, sturdier and more durable than a pellet axe, which is what you start.
Okay, so like some like mandibles of a bug there. I just wondered if you had like a matchstick or something, but
this one here. So to tell you exactly what's in the insect axe, it is a ladybug head, a bombardier body part, and then silk rope.
Okay.
So ladybugs, I'm going to tell you right now, spoiler, one of the tougher things you're going to fight in the game. They are fucking hard. But then you've got melee class weapons. You've got busting class tools, chopping class tools, digging class tools, ranged, as I was calling out, explosive, torches, all that. You get quests as well. And so it will always kind of guide you where you need to go. You can find certain things that tell you more about the environment. So voice acting, very good in the game. Writing, very good in the game. All that stuff built across a fantastic crafting and building game. Everything that you see in these, it's not just like building shit. Like, it has to be structurally built the right way. Like, I couldn't just start stacking shit. Like, all these posts need to be able to hold weight when you build something. Like, there's a physics system in this building that I think is fantastic. And one of our other quick looks that we recorded for Slime Rancher 2, I talked about automation. The biggest things in a survival game are very similar. You need to make sure that you have a way to always be healthy before you go out into an area that wants to kill you. So water, cooking, all those things I just called out, I have it all right here. If I wanted to dry stuff out and make jerky, I could. If I wanted to roast something, boom, it's there. I also picked this place because there's human food that just shows up every morning. It's like down there's some hot dogs. I can chop that up and I've got a good source of food. I've got all those dew droplets. So if I didn't have any of this built up here, I'm in a place where if I die, I spawn back here, I can get some food, get some water, and go back and retrieve my gear, which falls where you die. And you can get everything back. Sometimes, though, you drop in an area that just fucking sucks, and it's a hard road to walk to get it back.
Is this Dark Souls style where if you die again before you pick up your stuff is gone forever? Or
no.
Is your stuff still always there?
It's always there, and it becomes a marker. Okay. So that's the other thing. Like, you can create, like, I've created these markers out there in the wild. Those are all outside of that green one there. That's the actual quest. But I've built these, and I can put a trail marker down, and then I can put an icon, and it lets me know, like, and I have one here for the house too. So it tells you how far things are in centimeters because you're tiny, but I know where I need to go and do those things. So let me see if it's late enough for us to go to bed here. Yeah, that's so good. And then I'm going to show you one of the science labs, and that might be a good spot for this quick look. I also think that they've just done a fantastic job on how this game looks. Like, the lighting and the making things feel homey with, like, you're building with grass and stuff like that. It's just, Obsidian's good at what they do, man. I think that you know that.
They certainly are, and I think I've told you this before, but I am a sucker for miniaturized games. Like, I know when we quick look Tinykin, that was another one of, like, I just like the inventiveness and creativity of, hey, you're a tiny thing in a normal sized world, and seeing how you recontextualize different things. Like one of my favorite Mario Kart tracks is the ribbon road, where it's like in a kid's bedroom and you're going on these ribbons, and I just think that's really neat. Or like Micro Machines back in like the Sega Genesis, where you're driving over the breakfast table and Cheerios are your lane lines. I just think that stuff is really neat, and this game, I like the idea of, hey, we're taking like the mandible of a bug and we're turning it into an axe, or we're taking this grass and we're recontextualizing it into a building material. I think that stuff is really cool. What's not really cool, I get it. This spider's fucking scary.
Yeah.
God. Like, I'm not arachnophobic, but fuck, that spider's scary as shit.
Yeah, I moved it out to third person because when I prefer it in first person when I'm fighting them, but it's not as, I mean, when you're looking at that thing, it's massive. So that was an Orb Weaver Junior and an actual
Junior.
No, there was two spiders. I killed two spiders. There was an Orb Weaver and an actual Junior, like a little baby one. So I did get some really good spider chunks, which is awesome because I'm wearing spider armor, by the way. I do that out of spite also because spiders should know not to fuck with me at this point. Like I'm that
Sure.
good in the game.
Yep. I sometimes do that in my house. Like you just leave a dead spider on the floor
Yeah.
just to tell the tale, just to show, hey, don't fuck around here. Or this is not a friendly place to you.
Correct. So with that being said, I need to knock some water down really quick because I was not smart and I did not bring any water with me. I drank it all, so we're gonna throw that up there, and then I'm going to come down here and drink that. There we go. All right, so back to the lab. We killed 2 spiders. I'm happy we got to do that. Typically, when you're out and about, Chase, you might not always get to come across things that you want to.
Sure.
I know that you don't like spiders. The most annoying thing in the game, little mites. They suck.
Wow, I believe that.
And they will just
Oh
continue.
god, it's like some Half-Life head crab stuff going on here.
Absolutely. But
Do you
man,
feel like I like this, but it really does feel like you're in this big, never-ending forest. Does the game provide enough big landmarks for you, set piece kind of things that make you feel okay, cool?
100%.
Like you mentioned, like, oh, hey, there are hot dogs here on the ground, and I'm sure to those, they're like, you are tiny compared to those hot dogs. But I could see like, oh, hey, a lawnmower was left on the lawn, but you can climb it and maybe scavenge it for parts or things like that. Or even, what is this? Is that like a comic box?
It's a juice box, man. So this game takes place in
There you
1991. So, we've all had the high C boxes. And
Absolutely.
there's a juice drop, so I can drink that. And that'll allow me to be also getting food and liquid. So that's the other thing. Like
Sure.
I could have, and I probably should have, but it'll continue to drop those to the straw. I could scoop that up in my canteen, and that'll take care of food and water a little bit on that front. So you mentioned like landmarks. We're coming up on some stuff here. This big ass tree, that's a pretty good indicator. I always will try and find a viewpoint, and the game does the thing. Like, think about like when you were a kid, all right, and when you were like, I'm gonna look ahead and see something. Well, that's your binoculars.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
And that is the one thing that, like, as an 80s baby, I have a lot of the things that, like, they haven't, like, carbon copied it, but there's action figures. There's a fucking Battletoad toy in the pond. Like, there's things that they do.
Well,
It's like,
sure. I mean, Microsoft owns all of it. You could put a fucking Master Chief in here if you wanted to.
correct. They've done some amazing things with just creating points of reference. And like, hey, I know, like, I'm at that Battletoad, so I'm gonna go there and take care of it. One thing I'll call out: when you're here the first time, just be really careful. You're gonna find some acorns. This is the first time you're gonna really see them in abundance in the game. Break those up. You're gonna need a hammer for that. Just don't go inside the tree, because this is actually the home of multiple wolf spiders. They are sleeping during the day, but let me show you what I'm talking about. If you thought the orb weavers were bad,
Is it only bugs that you're dealing with here? Yeah, he looks fun.
yeah, bugs. Yes.
But like, do you see? Thinking of other things you might see in a yard. Do you see any birds? Do you see a squirrel? Is there like a neighborhood cat or anything? I
There
could see
is
those being other things.
There is a blackbird that will show up, and from what I have what I've experienced, it's not there to hurt you, but it is terrifying to see.
Mm-hmm.
So this is this big explosion happens when you first start the game up, and you come in here, and this was a science lab, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
And as we start to explore it,
So this all got shrunk down with you.
this was already shrunk. So, like, there's some coffee cups in
okay.
here, and you can see, like, what is this raw science? And I'll call that out really quick. So when it comes over here to status, you get mutations in the game, which I think are really cool. And as you play the game, certain things happen with them. So this natural explorer one, it helps me map out my path a little bit more. I've got one for a javelineer, Range is your greatest allies. You reach and stab out for foes from afar. Surrendering, exposing their weaknesses. Spears have a chance to lower enemy armor. I could turn that on right now. I can only have 2 mutations at a time. So I've got this one for running, but I've got one for killing ants. I've got one for if I need to chop down grass faster, I could do that there as well. If it's over, where is it at on here? Maybe it's, I don't think it's on that one. Oh, I have to be at a computer, which I have right here. That's a resource surveyor. I don't have that. I'm gonna turn on. I don't know if I can use these here right now. Maybe I can't. I can't show it here, but I can show you how you can upgrade some of your character stats. Who I wanted you to meet, which I think he's still around here somewhere. Oops. Let me hold this down. Get this biometric scanner going.
So if you're able to use this scanner, do you think, because you're playing as a teen, do you think these teens are the ones who actually shrunk themselves, or are they just like caught in the crossfire of something that shrunk a bunch of people?
I think that they're caught in the crossfire.
Okay.
So this is Burgle. Burgle was an 80s robot that was invented to work in fast food chains that has been repurposed by the scientists to help out with things around here.
Acting science manager, Burgle.
Like stash.
Yeah, some really good writing with Burgle as well.
Ask away, my
You can learn a little bit more about ointments.
prominent practical tech.
Or, I mean, I'm sorry. He teaches you about some of the other like things that you can make.
Or, what would you do without me? My advice, if you want to get home, is to find all of my super chips in the other labs in the yard.
So that's the main story right there. You need to go find the chips.
Okay.
Burgle's going to help you get big and get home again.
Doctor,
And he
Tony,
tells you
unfortunately,
essentially where to
the
go.
location of the super chip is on your map. Use your Scabby menu to access your map. It is very handy.
So then if I went into this map, I can start to see different things that are going to be on that location. So that's the punch that we came across. You know, that's that big juice box. There's another field station.
How does the map feel? Does it feel big?
Yeah, it certainly feels big, especially like as risks start to increase. It's like, shit, like I got to get back home. It's getting dark. I'm almost out of food. My weapons do deteriorate over a period of time, but you can repair them back at your house pretty easily. But there's other biomes in the game too that like you're not gonna like that whole pond over there. You can make like a breathing apparatus and stuff to go down into that water, and there's fish and things like that maybe you want to look out for. Got another juice box over here. See if I can get some more juice in my canteen. It's just really, really, I think, a fascinating, maybe one of the, in my opinion, this is a bold one, I know, but one of the cooler environments that they've actually made. Like, it's just so well thought out.
Yeah, I mean, when you do things like space or otherworldly planets, you can kind of just go nuts, and that's cool. But also, there's when you have like no limitations, you end up kind of freezing a little bit. Like I think having the limitation of we need this to be realistic enough of things that are in a yard, it then gives you it gives you these guardrails for you to then be really creative and find ways of innovating within the space, and I'm really liking all the environmental design stuff in here.
Yeah, and everything that we're seeing here, like everything that we're seeing here, I can chop down and take. Like I can grab that, I can get out my axe. Oh, that's not my axe.
But it grows right back, right? Like it'll grow back like the next day.
Yeah, it'll grow back. So then like, okay, cool. I've grabbed that. So now that's coming with me on the way back to where we're heading.
So it's not like a persistent thing where you could clear this whole goddamn yard.
Yeah, like when I get back out to my house here, I'll show you what I'm talking about there, because one of the other reasons I picked that location was it had sprouts, it had the grass, it had all those things that I would need to like craft and be pretty resourceful without having to go too far away, because I'm showing this as a pretty robust individual. Like, I've got a lot of time under my belt in it. I've played a lot of it. I've got some really good gear. So I can, like, those 2 spider things that we came across, that would be hard for a lot of folks. I'm not saying I'm not trying to like sound, oh, look at me.
You've put the time in to have the equipment to be able to handle an enemy like that.
Really quick, since I came across one, this is a cool thing. So this is how so brain power is what you achieve by finding raw science out in the world or scanning objects that are brand new to you, that when you go to your unlocks, these are the things you learn how to build with each one of those brain powers. So okay. I can craft these things now. The next level, I'll get a new set of gear here. But that's one of the things that you're working on. So when you find something new, scan it. And if you're playing multiplayer, everybody gets the brain power when one person scans, which is great. Over here is the advanced system library. And this is where you can spend your science that you would find. So I can upgrade and get new things that would go back to the house. So I can get this new pebblet foundation, which is a path, and that's going to be more around how we would build things. This is a sign set, a collection of new ideas to display in your sign frames. That's more like an aesthetic. I'm going to save up though, because right here, this scanner, I want to be able to use that. So if I have that one, an upgrade for the scab scanner module that allows you to detect nearby raw science. So that's going to let me know where I can find more of that. Or
sure, and then upgrade your or get more experience points. Sure.
You can find these other things in the world too, these molar infusions. I've only found one so far, the milk molar. So I found this mega one, and I was able to put that for my resource stack size. So now I went from 10 to 15, which is super helpful because I can carry more when I'm out exploring and doing that. It could also be more about your consumables. So also there's quests each day that you can come to and grab from Burgle, and they give you a really big, so if I made an acorn chest plate, which I can do, or I made bead shoulder pads, you're going to get a lot of raw science for that. So those are things that you can do. You get 3 daily quests on top of just playing the game and doing it story mode.
When you say daily, you mean for us a day? Because I know the game also has a day-night cycle, so it's not like you.
Yeah, it's more based off.
It's keeping track of like actual time as well.
Yes. Come here, you little spiderling.
How is the multiplayer stuff? We've talked
awesome.
about it a little bit, but
so one of the things a lot of these games, you know, when I've played like Valheim or Satisfactory, we've had to pay to have like a server that anybody could hop onto when they weren't playing and still be in that world. What they've done over at Microsoft is they've created a way to make a shared save file that I can give access. So it's uploaded to the cloud, and then I can pick from my Microsoft friends list anybody who could have access to that and just play the game single player. Or so like right now I have a password protected server set up to where like anybody who knew my password could hop on here with me if they wanted to, or Jason and Johnny, for example. And then if you ever decide to play, you would just have access to play the game however you wanted to. And it's drop in, drop out. It's really well done. I think it's fantastic. One thing I'm going to show before we go, just to crafting. So it says I need to make an acorn chest plate. So let's take a look here. That would be, I need some clover leaves with me, and I need to go and grab those really quick. So I don't have any nearby, which tells me that I need to come out to the front of my spot. I've got a few clovers right there. I'm going to chop those down. Let me kill this persistent mite. And there are my clovers. I'll take one more with me just to be safe.
Yeah, I think you had 3 and you did 6, so that's good.
We'll head back up there. I'm going to make that. And I don't need it for anything, but raw science is helpful because I want to continue to learn new things.
Could you then sell the armor to somebody? I don't know who.
I don't need to sell it, but so I'm just going to craft that really quick. Mm-hmm. And I got 500 raw science. I completed that daily. and that takes care of that. So I would just come up here and like if you start playing, I'm like, hey man, I've got here, have this chest piece. It's super helpful. And armor does offer more things, like this worker ant one. When I have this on, you're gonna see that I get hauling strength. So hauling is like those,
there's like set bonuses, sure.
yeah. So these grass pieces, I can carry 5 at a time. If I'm wearing all of that ant, I can carry up to 8. So when I'm building, you're gonna see me put that armor on, which will help out. One of the things too is the spider armor I have on is gonna help me out with like stunning spiders. So that's one of the things that, you know, made it look easier when I was fighting those spiders. But so I've got different armor sets. I'm also, they let you create trophies of the beasts you've killed. And I've done some damage. Everything from bombardiers to different types of spiders. I've got certain weapons on display, a bunch of different armor sets. And you can build furniture. So if you just wanted to come and chill for a bit, you can do so and take it in.
Just look upon your kingdom.
Let me see if I can show you a bee really quick, because you asked about flying ones sometimes during the area. Yeah, there's one up by that paint can. But they'll sometimes fly a little bit closer, and then I can, you know, pull out a bow and arrow, hit one, and then fight it off that way. But yeah, man, this is grounded. It's really cool. It's challenging and can be very punishing if you're not prepared for what's out there. But Obsidian's done it again, man. I feel like this game is awesome. Critics seem to be really into it as well. It's getting some great 1.0 reviews.
Yeah, it seems really well thought out, and we've done a number of these quick looks in the past, and I think, you know, my preferences are, I don't really like crafting. I don't like survival style games where you have to eat and drink. And on one hand, this game seems like a nightmare to me. But on the other hand, it's so inventive. I love the environment. I think that the systems that it's building seem really smart and cool. And this is probably the closest I'm ever going to get to be interested in playing one of these. I don't know if I'm going to, but
well, let me call out one more thing.
The Obsidian seal of approval on it makes me consider it.
Let me call out one thing that I've been holding close to the chest to maybe, if I didn't win you over as the game was intended to be played, I might be able to do it this way. So if you go to game settings, you can turn all this off. You can turn off the building integrity, bugs ignore you. You can even come down to your hunger and thirst and stamina, durability, food spoiling. All that can be turned off.
How does that work in a multiplayer setting?
It would just kind of be how you play the game.
But are those settings for the server, for like this world, or is it per player? So even though my food isn't spoiling while we play together, is your food still spoiling? Are you getting weapon degradation while I'm not, or is it? This server has a no weapon degradation thing going on.
I think it might be that. I haven't turned it on myself, and some of those aren't able to be turned on like while you're playing. So it would probably be one of those things before you did it, and it would show you like, hey, you're joining a save that has these things. They're playing on easy. They're just out there having a good time. Which, again, play games how you want to play games. And if Obsidian wanted you to play the game a certain way, they would force you to play it because they have that power. They want you to just get in this world and have a good time and play it how you want to. So this is on Game Pass, by the way. It's a huge win for Game Pass, and I think it's going to become a pretty big series for Microsoft. And even for somebody like you, Chase, like, you can turn all that shit off and just have a fucking cool time playing in this world, which I think is awesome. So
yeah,
have at it.
If you don't have Game Pass, this is a $40 game on Steam, and also plays on your Microsoft consoles, your Xbox Ones, your Xbox Series consoles.
It has very good controller support too, and I think it would probably play on Steam Deck pretty well.
Sure, I could see that.
Oh, and Chase, if you do decide to play, I was kind of hoping you would say yes, and I built you a house.
You're trying so hard to
I even
get
got
into it.
I got you a little lean-to and a spot to put some of your first stuff. And
wow, a lean-to. Wow, that's so nice of you, Bobby.
that's Johnny's house down there. Jason's put a little bit of work into his spot as well, but I built this for him. I didn't know. I grew a really big mushroom on accident. We'll talk about that later. I don't know, a quick look.
Accident. Yeah. Yeah.
But this is Grounded, and I think you should play it. It's a fantastic video game. Obsidian, good on you. You've made a really fun spot to hang out and play. And thank you for reminding me about some of the things I loved as a kid. That's something that I was not expecting from this, and I have found a lot of things to be happy about. So, very cool game, very cool company, and it's a great way to hang out with your friends. So, speaking of hanging out with your friends, you should hang out with us more often. We play games like Grounded Mondays and Friday nights on twitch.tv/The Casual Hour. And if you like this quick look, we put 2 of them up a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. wherever you live. Time zones can change, so just Tuesday mornings, Thursday mornings. We also record our podcast, The Casual Hour, with our co-host Johnny, whose house is right there. And you can tune in live on Wednesdays at 10:30 p.m. Central, or you can listen wherever you listen to your podcast every Friday morning. So we are The Casual Hour. This is Grounded from Obsidian. Thanks for hanging out. And Chase, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Bobby.